Imagine a world buried under a blanket of ice. A world where the howling wind is the only constant sound, and survival is a daily, desperate battle. This wasn't a movie scene. This was the reality for our ancestors. Around 70,000 years ago, humanity was pushed to the brink of extinction. The population dwindled to just a few thousand individuals, a tiny, fragile flame flickering in the immense, frozen darkness of the Ice Age. How did we survive? How did we go from the edge of oblivion to a species that now spans the entire globe? This is the story of our greatest comeback. An epic tale of resilience, ingenuity, and the unyielding human spirit. Join us as we journey back in time to uncover the secrets of the Ice Age survivors. Before the Big Chill set in, early humans were scattered across Africa, living as hunter-gatherers in relatively warm climates. But then, the world began to change. Global temperatures plummeted, and massive ice sheets, miles thick, began to crawl down from the poles, swallowing up vast swaths of the northern hemisphere. Forests retreated, replaced by barren, frozen tundra. The world our ancestors knew was disappearing, and with it, their sources of food and shelter. This wasn't just a bad winter, it was a global catastrophe that lasted for thousands of years. For many species, it was the end. For Homo sapiens, it was the ultimate test. Trapped between advancing glaciers and changing ecosystems, small groups of humans found themselves in a desperate fight for their very existence. Faced with this existential threat, our ancestors did what we do best. They adapted. They began a great migration, a slow, multi-generational trek in search of new lands and new opportunities. Some groups headed towards the warmer coastlines of southern Africa, where the ocean provided a new, reliable source of food. Here, they learned to harvest shellfish, fish, and marine mammals. This coastal life didn't just provide calories. It provided crucial nutrients that may have fueled brain development, sparking a revolution in human cognition. Archaeologists have found evidence of this new lifestyle in places like Pinnacle Point in South Africa, where caves overlooking the ocean reveal layers of shells and fish bones, a testament to a complete shift in their way of life. It was a life dictated by the tides, a new rhythm of survival that saved our species from vanishing forever. But not everyone went to the coast. Other groups pushed north into the very heart of the frozen beast, Ice Age Europe and Asia. How could anyone survive in such a place? It seems impossible, but they did it through incredible innovation. The first and most critical adaptation was mastering fire. Fire was life. It was warmth against the biting cold, a way to cook meat and make it more digestible. A torch to keep predators at bay in the long, dark nights, and a central hearth for social bonding and storytelling. Can you imagine the feeling of huddling around a crackling fire, the only point of light and warmth in a world of ice? This wasn't just a tool, it was the heart of their community. Next came clothing. Gone were the days of minimal coverings. To survive sub-zero temperatures, our ancestors became master tailors. They used sharpened stone tools, bone needles, and sinew thread to stitch together animal hides and furs. These weren't just simple wraps. They were sophisticated, multi-layered garments, likely including tunics, leggings, parkas with hoods, and even mittens and boots. These personal portable environment allowed them to venture out into the frozen landscape, to hunt and to travel, extending their operational range far beyond the warmth of their caves or shelters. They were, in effect, wearing their homes on their backs. Shelter also evolved dramatically. While natural caves were prime real estate, they weren't always available. So, humans learned to build their own. The most stunning examples of this are the mammoth bone huts discovered in Eastern Europe. Imagine dwellings constructed from the massive skulls, jaws, tusks, and leg bones of woolly mammoths, likely covered with animal hides. These were not just crude shelters, they were sturdy, well-insulated homes, capable of withstanding the brutal Arctic winds. Inside, they would have had hearths for fire, areas for sleeping, and spaces for crafting tools. They were a powerful statement. We are not just surviving out here. We are making this frozen world our home. Now, let's talk about the giants that roamed this icy world. Teise ache megafauna, woolly mammoths, woolly rhinos, giant cave bears, and saber-toothed cats. For us, these are creatures of legend. For our ancestors, they were neighbors, competitors, and most importantly, a walking buffet. Hunting a 12-ton mammoth with nothing but stone-tipped spears is one of the most awe-inspiring feats of human history. This wasn't a solo act. It required immense courage, intelligence, and above all, teamwork. Hunting a mammoth was a highly coordinated effort. It likely involved the entire community. Scouts would track the herds, observing their behavior and looking for a vulnerable individual perhaps, one that was young, old, or separated from the group. Then, the hunters would spring their trap. They might use the landscape to their advantage, driving the mammoth into a ravine, a bog, or a pre-dug pit where it would be immobilized. Once the animal was trapped, the attack would begin. It was a close quarters, high-risk confrontation. Hunters would swarm the massive beast, using their spears to strike at its vulnerable points. The sheer power and terror of being so close to such an animal is almost unimaginable. Every hunt was a life-or-death gamble. A single mistake, a moment of hesitation, could mean being crushed or gored. A successful hunt was a monumental victory for the entire clan. A single mammoth could provide thousands of pounds of meat, enough to feed the group for weeks or even months. The fat was a high-energy food source, essential for survival in the cold. The thick hide was used for clothing and shelter. The massive bones, as we've seen, became the framework for their homes. And the ivory from the tusks was carved into tools, jewelry, and incredible works of art. The mammoth wasn't just food, it was a complete survival kit. This relationship with the mammoth was central to the culture of these Ice Age hunters. They were not just killing an animal. They were engaging in a sacred and dangerous dance that defined their existence. This period of intense challenge wasn't just about physical survival. It also ignited a cultural and artistic explosion. In the deep, dark recesses of caves across Europe, like Lascaux and Chavette, these ice-aged people created breathtaking art. Using charcoal and mineral pigments, they painted vivid, dynamic images of the world around them. Herds of bison, galloping horses, and of course, the mighty mammoths. These weren't just doodles. These were masterpieces, created by torchlight in places that were difficult to access. Why did they do it? Were these paintings part of hunting rituals, attempts to capture the spirit of the animal? Were they records of great hunts, or were they part of a shamanistic tradition, a way to connect with the spirit world? We may never know for sure, but what is clear is that these people had a rich inner life. They were not just surviving. They were thinking, creating, and expressing a deep connection to their world. Beyond paintings, they carved intricate figurines from ivory and bone, known as Venus figurines, and crafted delicate jewelry. Art and culture were not luxuries. They were fundamental parts of what it meant to be human, even in the harshest of times. The Ice Age was the crucible that forged modern humans. The intense pressure to survive drove innovation at an unprecedented rate. It forced us to become better toolmakers, better hunters, better communicators, and better collaborators. The social bonds necessary to hunt a mammoth or maintain a fire through a blizzard strengthened our communities. The need to plan, to remember locations, to track seasons, and to pass knowledge down through generations sharpened our minds. We emerged from the ice not just as survivors, but as a smarter, more resilient, and more cooperative species. The very challenges that almost wiped us out are what ultimately made us stronger and set the stage for our eventual domination of the planet. As the glaciers finally began their slow retreat around 12,000 years ago, the world changed once again. The megafauna, including the mammoths, died out, likely due to a combination of climate change and hunting pressure. The frozen tundra gave way to resurgent forests. The descendants of the Ice Age survivors adapted once more, developing agriculture, building cities, and creating the complex civilizations we know today. But we carry the legacy of our Ice Age ancestors within us. Their ingenuity, their resilience, and their ability to cooperate in the face of overwhelming odds are written into our DNA. Every time we solve a complex problem, work together on a team, or create a piece of art. We are echoing the spirit of those who stared into the frozen abyss and refused to give in. Their struggle is our story. The incredible story of how we survived the ice. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this story of survival as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into our incredible human story. Let us know in the comments what part of the Ice Age you find most amazing. Until next time, stay curious.